ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die, and can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docuseries is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability?
I'm Grace Cavanaugh, and I channel Osairah and Mother Mary. So in my family, my mom was always on a spiritual path, and she was kind of a seeker, and only 18 years older than me, and we were very much like sisters in a lot of ways. As I was growing up, she was my mom, but we had a soul agreement, in my opinion, and she was very seeking. And when I was 15, she started to be interested in channeling, and she had a channeler to our house, and this is in the 80s, and she had a channeler to our house who a bunch of people gathered, and that was my first introduction to channeling. So my mom really found this to be something interesting for her, so she spent many years actually kind of privately learning to channel various ways, first starting out with writing, and then a number of years later, she started to be able to allow for it to come out of speaking. So I would say my mom had an ability. I think that we both have had an ability, but I think that I was really, really wired for it when I was a child, because I was very, I don't prefer the word psychic, but I'll say it, psychic, and I was able to see. I was a seer early on. I saw clairvoyantly, but I didn't know it. And so I think a lot of this runs in my family or in me.
Did you develop that at all when you were sort of in your teen years, getting to 20? Was there any sort of, what happened between that age?
So I would say one of my things that I became aware of is that I was always trying to remember something. I was always trying to hold on to something. I remember this as a child. I remember being visited. I remember seeing things that were not actually physical. I did see what I now know is like photonic light. I would see the electrons bouncing around in everything. And I think this was different than when you see an aura. I could actually see it in the things. It would be a table. I could see it in the trees or in the trunks of the trees or in a chain link fence. I would see the vibrating light that made up that thing. So anyway, my vision was I saw, and I didn't know that was not normal, I guess, for a very, very long time. I just thought everybody saw this way. And I think when I was around 9 or 10, I asked my mom to take me to the eye doctor when I realized that some people weren't seeing the things that I was seeing, kind of made 2 and 2 put together. And then the doctor told me that possibly that there was something wrong with my eyes. They'd have to recheck it. And then I just stopped talking about what was happening with my eyes and what I was seeing. And I think, I also had this sort of nagging feeling to to tell me that I was trying to remember something, to keep remembering that this was that I was connected to everything, that the light was a part of me, was a part of everything. And I really remembered being here before. We would call that reincarnating. I really remembered, oh boy, here I am again. So all of these things added up in my time, and especially seeing people, visitors at night. I had a lot of spirit energies visit at night. And when I got into my early teens, I would say between around 9 and 10, I started to shut things down, 10 for sure. And then once I got into the teenage years, I didn't let this stuff up. Around 1920, some stuff started to come back in and started to come up. And then what that meant for me is I always just assume I'm on a spiritual path. And I had high intuition. And there was times when I knew that I was psychic or connected and very attuned to the to synchronicities, I could feel something was going to happen and it would happen. I just had all that high voltage intuition. So I just thought that's what it was until in my early 30s when I had a pretty radical, total paranormal, psychic, clairvoyant, absolute awakening. When I was 19, I found, I was in a metaphysical bookstore in La Jolla, California, and I was 19, and this was in the 90s, and a book literally fell off the shelf at me. How, I do not know how it fell off the bookshelf at me, and it was, dun da da da, Bringers of the Dawn. And Bringers of the Dawn, I just loved the title, had no idea really. I just took it home, started reading it, couldn't put it down. And I completely 1,000% resonated with it. And I was in interior design school, and that was not my path. It was just like, that's awesome. I love that book. That's an awesome book. And then I put it down, put it away for a long time. That was, though, what I know now was a pivotal drop-in of information for me, I guess you could say, at that time. And I think that set up things for the future, honestly. That was a very good book for me, Barbara Marciniak's book from that time. And then I read a lot of spiritual books in the way of Marianne Williamson. I read Many Lives, Many Masters, which is a great book. Brian L. Weiss about hypnotherapy and past lives. And that set up something that I didn't have a clue would ever come into my world, which was that many years later, many years later, I became a hypnotherapist, which also was a part of my journey at the time of this radical awakening. I was doing hypnotherapy, and hypnotherapy accessed my subconscious and just blew open the doors in all of this. And I really believe that was an impactful part of this journey for me personally about being able to channel. So here's my thing though on like books that we read. You know, some books I think hit us at the right time and they're the pertinent information that we need to sort of wake up to or download. But I don't think that all books that we take in are going to be the things that last or the things that are the most right even in the future for yourself or someone else or for the world at large. People change. So for me, you know, a few books hit me and helped opened up the door, even of the, I guess what you would say, the possibility of those things existing like that. Another wonderful book that I read was The New Earth. Is that what it's called? By Eckhart Tolle. I think I read that in 2005 or 6 when it first came out. And blew open my consciousness again. And I was like, that's what we're doing, you know? So I think that, you know, I don't follow authors. That's actually true. But I do appreciate many of the people and the teacher and the authors in life who bring us what it is that needs to come through them. So, yeah, I'm not a hard and fast committed person on any one path or author. I'm personally constantly expanding in my own receiving of information.
Prior to Bringers, well, okay, when you got, so you're reading Bringers of the Dawn, you've gone to college, and you were just saying there that you left college, did you, or you?
I did. Well, see, here's the funny thing with me. I don't know if we want to say all this, though, you know. I mean, I left college because I got a bunch of work in acting. I was in interior design school. I didn't want to finish interior design school. I'm early 20s trying to figure out my life. And I got a on-camera part that was really good on a show in San Diego. And the casting director took a liking to me and said, you should go to LA. So set me up with a manager. I went to LA. I got a commercial agent within the first 3 weeks. I booked my first national commercial within 3 weeks. And I just kept working. And I was working in commercials. I was so green to that whole experience. I had no real concept. I was so naive, but I had no real concept of Hollywood and the commercials that I just didn't really get that, like, actors were hired and made a lot of money back in those days for commercials, especially if they went, national is what they called it. I guess they still do. And so long or the short of that is I'm in my early 20s and I got a lot of work as a commercial actress. And so there was a lot of self-seeking as far as spiritual work. I was seeking to heal myself. I was seeking to wake up. I was seeking spiritual living. I was seeking healing. I knew I had issues. So, growing up, and then you get into your 20s and you're like, I got to work some stuff out. So I was on that path. And then I got married and I had children. And I was still very in tune and still in a spiritual and a kind of intuitive path of spiritual awakening, you could say. And I was not doing commercials as much. And then my father was suddenly killed. And when he died, I went into shock. I was the first person in my family system, my family member, and it was sudden. And so I didn't have a reference point. And so it just pummeled me. And I, not only did I kind of go into shock, which kind of amplified a psychic awakening, within a few months, my husband and I split up. And within a few months from that, I knew I needed to get some sort of career situation going, which turned into a sequence of a perfect divine alignment events that led me to doing hypnotherapy college for a year. And that is how I made it there. And by doing this hypnotherapy college, it was a bigger program than just like going for a weekend and becoming a hypnotherapist. This was deep work, and it was a lot, and it was wonderful. And I had to go into my own mentorship with a hypnotherapist. So I was going through hypnosis on a regular basis, a weekly basis, hypnotherapy and regression. And the magic of hypnosis and the body consciousness and the subconsciousness coming up, all of this energy working at the same time as this awakening that was happening with me psychically, which was so profound. Because what happened is with my dad dying, it was almost like somebody just spun me around. And now, if I'd always been looking at my life this way, and I thought I knew anything, I was looking here. And then all of a sudden, I was spun around this way, and I'm looking this way. And I just had these memories of, I think I know what I meant and thought there, but now I'm looking at life this way, and it was completely different paradigm. I call it, my whole paradigm blew out. And I was dealing with literally my clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. I could feel, see, hear, know. I could intuit. I was becoming so sensitive and over psychic that it was crazy. And I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew I wasn't going off the deep end. I wasn't a person who drank or smoked or did anything. So I knew that this was a spiritual thing happening to me, but I didn't know how to navigate it that well. I went to Hypnosis Motivation Institute in Tarzana, California, which is in the Los Angeles area. And it's a year-long program. And you can speed it up, you can do more classes. I had 2 small children to raise, and so I was doing that at night. I did basically night classes and weekend classes. And just because I was with my kids a lot or during the day. So yeah, that's what I did.
But what was the drive to go to that college?
Mostly because I had an interest. Remember, all those years later, I'm like, oh, I remember reading about hypnosis and past life regression. I would be interested in that because, see, if you step back, I'm in that moment thinking I'm on a spiritual path. Anything to do with the mind, body, soul, spirit, anything like that is of interest to me. So my friend had been through this school and told me how great it was because you can set your own schedule, right? Like, so I could see clients. If I'm going to be doing this, I can see clients during the day for 4-hour period of time, maybe 6 hours at the most, and pick up my kids from school, because I was not a mom who did daycare. I was a take them to school and pick them up from school, and I'm with them. So I looked at that as the short possible way for me to build a business, make money, love what I do, and be there for my kids, because they were little when I started this.
And your husband was with you at the time?
No, we had separated. That's why I was really into that at that point. I was really into finding a situation that would support me while I'm now separated from my husband. So he had moved out, and 3 months later I started hypnotherapy college.
And did you see the year course through?
I did. It was life-changing, truly.
And did they deal with any sort of side effects of channeling there, or?
At that time, no. And but there was a past life regression class that happened there, and one of my teachers there would bring in her past life regression class, she would bring in channelers. Well, what's interesting is I did actually have a full-blown experience in that particular workshop one time. So here I was already highly charged. I was already going through massive stuff that was like really overwhelming. I was trying to navigate, how do I navigate this world of phenomena that some would call paranormal experiences that were totally happening on a regular basis, day and night, and, you know, live in the world. How do I have one foot in here and one foot in there is kind of how it felt. So then this past life regression class happens, and she has a channeler come in. And, you know, energy is real. And here's the thing. I was sitting in that class thinking, oh, sure, I've been around channelers before. Thinking back to when I was 15, when my mom had a channeler in our home and had an experience with people. And I'm not thinking anything. I understand channeling is my mindset. I'm there. I'm thinking, cool. She goes into the channeling part of the weekend and has this woman channeling. And I couldn't stay in my seat. I felt like I was being rocked. I felt like I was getting sick. I felt like I was passing out. I felt like off kilter. I felt energy, and I was feeling affected by this experience. I was kind of astonishing. But what I look at now is I recognize that in that particular class, they weren't, you know, teaching about channeling. They weren't teaching you how to channel, but I was hardwired for channeling. And so this woman and her energy and the channeling work she was doing in this workshop, for me, was like blasting through and into my system. And so it was another clue. Along this journey, I had to have a bunch of clues. I wasn't just a person who turned up one day and said, I think I want to channel. Bam, and started channeling. No, this was, for me, this was a very long process. This was a sometimes totally resistant process for me to become channeler. So it was a natural progression, and it happened over time. And I absolutely did not push it or rush it. The only thing I did do is constantly be nudged by these beings. And when I finally kind of felt like I surrendered, because I'd had enough of this anxiety that all of this stuff was creating, which was seeing people who'd passed, feeling energies, feeling the space and knowing that there was something off, connecting to people and hearing thoughts, and just there was so much happening that I had to sit down and start meditating because I needed to calm the anxiety that was growing inside my body. And that's where, over some time, the meditation became the place where it was like they were nudging, they were knocking, they were there. And there was one point where they said, I heard them like as if you're sitting inside the room. We want to speak. We want to speak through you. And I was just like, right, what am I going to do? Like, what does that even mean? I'm going to have to just open my mouth and you're just going to pour it out. And that was not the case. And I had to learn how to. And that took a long time. It wasn't instantaneous. It took a lot of trust. It took a lot of hours. And, but I look at all the sequences of events that now, in retrospect, I can put together, and I see the path. I see how I was guided to where and to who and to what happened. And that added up into the solidity, the solidness of me being able to know how to do this with a convicted heart. Because it wasn't for all those places, all those things, all those people, all those challenges, all the practicing, all the tears. I went through so much ego destroying. I went through tears and like so much self-criticism and self-judgment about what are people going to think about me? What is it going to be like? Oh my God, my face contorts. I had to get over so much stuff. But let me tell you, I didn't just get over it over a couple nights or a couple weeks. It took many years for me to come out publicly and say that I'm a channeler or do this work. So I did actually become a hypnotherapist, certified past life regression therapist as well, certified guided imagery as well. So I am a certified clinical, practical, practicing, and can do hypnosis and hypnotherapy and past life regression. I think it is an invaluable tool. I did start a business with it. I was doing my business with that, it's over 10 or 11 years ago. And meanwhile, see, I graduated that, then I started my business and I was seeing clients. I had an office. I enjoyed it. I picked up my kids after school. And meanwhile, during all of that, my psychic, paranormal gifts, channeling calls, everything about this new way of being was downloading. So I was trying to live this normal life that I thought I was supposed to do, which normal to me meant raise my children, be a hypnotherapist, build a life. And at the same time, I was having a bombardment of psychic, spiritual, spirit phenomenon happen to me all the time. Happened to me because that's how it felt in the beginning. I now know it was happening for me. It's a blessing and a gift. And I was wired for this. But I was doing my hypnotherapy business. And what ended up happening is as I was building this strength within me to do the channeling work and to really listen to my own intuition and become confident with that, that became a bit of conversation here or there. And people were interested. And when I got strong enough and sturdy enough and confident enough, I started letting people know I did it. And what happened is it became the thing. It became the desire. It became what people wanted the most with me personally. I still offered hypnotherapy. I still did it. I still did that healing work. And then I just started to do the channeling as well. And people wanted the channeling more than anything with me. So for a long while, hypnotherapy either faded and kind of took a back seat and wasn't happening, and then later I began to understand how I could use them all in my toolkit. And so that's more of what it's been for the last 5 years or so, is integration of all these things that I do in serving people.
So when a client comes to you now, that there is some work on as a hypnotherapist.
Yeah, especially I call it the mentorship program. I have this mentorship called Magnificence and Magic Mentorship Program. It's not just mentorship, and it is, but that's a place for me to dive one-on-one with someone who commits to a program with me monthly for a year. And in that, I specifically offer and do hypnotherapy with them because it clears out so much. And we do hypnotherapy, we do channeling sessions, we do all these other wonderful ways of everything I've ever gained on this path of my own spiritual awakening. Because what I'm finding is people at this time on the planet are waking up like I did 15 years ago. And so as they are waking up, they need someone to just at least guide a little bit, tell them a little bit more so that they have some stability. Because some of this can be radical. When you have a radical Kundalini awakening, you need some support. I'm not saying I'm their guru or their guide. I'm saying I empower you to be your own guru and your guide. But sometimes we need tethers to figure out this stuff when it's big and when it's totally radically different from the life you'd been living. So in my mentorship program specifically, I do everything. And then if I am seeing a person who wants to come to me just for hypnotherapy, I absolutely can do that too. And I love it.
Yeah, I just think it's fascinating with the hypnotherapy that it's another way in. It's the same. It's going to the same place as channeling in a sense. It's that. I don't know how you can describe what place it's going to. How you would describe it humanly, but it's not this dimension.
Yeah. There's so many dimensions. There's so many layers of that, right? There's. I think that. Accessing the subconscious mind really, just all I can say is my personal experience and then what I observe with other people. It's just opening doors. It's just waking us up. And depending upon where you are in a soul's journey, that can help you. It doesn't mean hypnotherapy is the thing for everybody, because every soul is at a different spot in their life's journey and reasons for being. I can tell you unequivocally, for me, I believe every bit of my path was set up perfectly, including hypnotherapy, because hypnotherapy just opened it wider, and it accessed more of me. It made me sturdier in my own convictions to knowing how to listen to myself within. It was like touching in with myself in a different way. But it's not the way people think. I mean, it was definitely through images. It was definitely through feeling like I'm having a visceral experience while my body laid there. So there's various ways that we can access the higher realms or the different realms even.
When you moved forward then to start channeling, has it always been that? When did this group come through? Who do you channel to begin with? Let's start there. Who do you channel?
So who I channel, the first group that really became, and who I feel is the sturdy, strong, connected ones to me for sure, are Osairah. They are a family of light. There's many. So it's a kind of an agreement. Osairah is more of a name that is sort of the house of. So if you can imagine a bunch of people, if we pretended it was people, that wanted to be all for planetary upleveling, they would come together under the house of Osairah, but they would be all working together. So there's probably thousands of light beings who are what you would consider in agreement for this benevolent assistance for humanity at this time. They come through me. I don't know if anybody else they come through. I'm not saying that I'm the only one even, but authentically, I really feel that they are in a league with me to make this agreement as a soul's journey in my life. Many years ago, I got the hit that there's 12 of them. There's 12 of them, And then I was told many years into this process that I had particularly spent 12 lifetimes just becoming and being an intuitive, actually more of considered an oracle and a seer, clairvoyant, and that those lifetimes were, those 12 in particular, not, if I had 15,000 lifetimes, that's just giving you a number, but if I had 15,000 lifetimes, there was 12 that were specific to like a training, like growing and amplifying my ability in connection to holding these 12 energies at once in this lifetime. So Osairah is funny and loving and completely neutral. They have only neutrality. They don't have judgment. The way that they speak is so just wonderful. And so they came in first. I was kind of resistant in some ways. I was really skeptical, and I felt ultra responsible. I felt that I couldn't do this work because what if? And the what ifs were, what if they say something that changes someone's life? And my mind, being skeptical that I am, said changes someone's life for the worst, because that's what I was afraid of. And I just got involved with this. So a lot of the first years were me getting uninvolved and learning how to step out and let them do what they can do and speak how they want to speak, and me getting okay with that. And I had to learn a lot of lessons myself that way. So I channel Osairah, and I also, many years later, sort of spontaneously began to channel Mother Mary. This blue energy entered the room. I was in a meditation experience with some people, and I sat in this room and I said, I think something's going to come through in a minute. And I was really uncomfortable, but they all said it would be fine. And so I kind of relaxed and let go, and she came in and she spoke. It took a while before the sound would come out of my mouth. It was so incredible. It was so soft, so sweet, so pure, so compassionate, so loving. And she spoke, and she also had sort of a frequency sound that came out before, and then she dropped into talking, and I don't know what she said. And I from what we all remember, is I spoke for 6 minutes, or she spoke through me for 6 minutes, and then I just burst into tears, and I couldn't stop crying for over an hour. 45 minutes to an hour, I just couldn't stop crying. And the reason for that, that's my literal personal story, is because I, as a human being, had never experienced or felt the actual physical, emotional fullness of the kind of love and compassion that came through my being and my consciousness and my body when she stepped through and started to speak. It was like almost devastating what I was feeling, because it was so clear that I had never felt that in this life. That much love, that much compassion, that much purity. So it took a long time for me to get okay with the idea of channeling Mother Mary. I wrestled with that for many months afterwards. I would cry about it. I would say, people are going to judge me. Who's going to believe me? How can I be that responsible? Oh my God, what will the Christians think? What will the Catholics think? Oh my God, they're going to all think I'm crazy. And who am I? How dare you? That was one voice in my head that just didn't stop for a really long time. How dare you? And who do you think you are to channel Mother Mary? And so I lived with that for a while, and I had to like work my butt off to try to find my way through letting go of all of that, and coming to an acceptance of this. And part of it was, a coming to acceptance of it was, I was naturally a skeptic, because I wanted more than anything, if this was going to be the work that I did, or if this was in any way something I was going to offer anyone, it required that it was 100 billion% authentic. I was overly worried about the idea that I would say anything, do anything, or do this channeling work, and it would be not divine, not true, not the best offering ever or possible. What that meant is my ego was still involved with the idea that I was responsible. So I had to work on a lot of that, and I had to work through a lot of that. And I learned really intense lessons from all that. So what came to be from all of that work, and what came through the continuation of that work, and I don't think that I'm done, is that I feel impeccably clear that I am in this way a divine channel. That I open, I completely step out of the way. My ego, the egoic voice of Grace is not involved. It is a pure, clear channel. And the truth is I don't think anybody can take that away from me, because I know it inside my soul. And so the hard ass work that I did, which is real, the hard work that I did, that's all I need. I know.
So, how did your friends and family take you as a channeler then? How did they accept the work that you're doing, or do they just love you for who you are and actually just being true to yourself, that was good enough?
So if I'm truthful, I hid it for a long time, actually. When I would meet people who were new, I wouldn't say I was a channeler, and I wouldn't say I was a medium or a psychic or that I could see. I would say I was a hypnotherapist, and that was enough of a conversation. People are always curious, and so that already took us on. And so when I would talk to people about that, I would be able to energetically, and I could, verbally, I could hear and know whether or not they would be interested or accepting of the other stuff that I do. So, but for many, many years, I only claimed being a hypnotherapist. And there were other times when I actually didn't even claim just being a hypnotherapist. I didn't even do that. There was times where I was just a massage therapist, which I was, but, or I had been a commercial actress, so I'd say I was a commercial actress. But it took a long time before I was willing to claim that I was a channeler. And so even in my own family, it didn't get discussed. There were certain family members along the way that never really asked, and I never really told. Partly because I just didn't want to go there. I just knew how they would respond or crack jokes, or maybe they'd still, be cool about it, but I just didn't feel like going there with them. So there were a few people in my life that I just didn't ever talk about with that. Even some friends that we kind of skirted it for a while. Then eventually I would bring it out more and bring it out more. But my mom was channeling, so there were certain people too that I did talk to about it in my family. But there were some people who were close to me, and before they even died, they didn't directly hear it from my mouth that I was a channeler in all the ways, the things that I do and how it is that this work has helped people. They knew I was a hypnotherapist, and that was good enough.
How did Mum take it that when she found out?
Oh, she knew I was on the path for a long time. And when the channel really started to open, I was sharing that with her, and I was telling her what was happening. And, she was supportive, that's all. She was supportive. There was one point where she lived in Maui, and I went over there, and she had been doing her own channelings for a period of time. She didn't do them forever, but she was doing her own channelings, and she invited me to come and do the channelings for the group of people that was coming to see her over there. And so, she got to be with me and do that too. And she didn't live very long after that, so we only got a couple more years, and yeah.
How do your daughters take it?
So they're taking it great now, I think. There was a period of time in that in-between years. First, when they were younger, when this first came in and was happening, they would come to my events, and they would be there. And I remember even my youngest one asking questions, but she was probably maybe 6. And now they're like, right now, this day, they are 17, about to turn 18 and 15. So they've grown up with it. They know what I do. It's not been a topic of great conversation along the way in middle school for them. I would say middle school is not the time where they ever wanted to talk about it, but things are changing. And even in our culture, people are so much more accepting of stuff. So when my daughters in high school started to say that their mom was a medium, well, their friends thought it was super cool. They thought, really? Like the Long Island medium? And so, you know, when we have reference points in mainstream that help open the door to more, that's a good thing. So people's minds begin to broaden, even children's, you know, in that really awkward stage of judgmental of everything. So, yeah.
What's channeling to you?
What's channeling to me? Channeling to me is opening my, this is for me personally, is downloading and opening to the source of the infinite and creation, I guess that you could say. Channeling also to me is potential in all of us. I think we do all channel. We don't just all channel the way that maybe I do or another person in this, you know, series or video will be channeling, or but I think we all have an ability to channel. It's, I think what happens is there's stuckness around the idea of doing it like other people. You know, if you get an idea in your head, you're supposed to do it a certain way. I think that sets up blocks, actually. You got to open up to see what it is for you. So what is channeling for me as well on the level of downloads is like, I get inspirations, I get intuitions. That's channeling just as much as channeling when I sit and close my eyes and go away.
Does the business side keep you balanced?
Business side.
Well, what keeps you balanced? What keeps you balanced for having all 2 feet in the spiritual realm, which I don't think is good for anyone?
Well, I will say that my kids keep me balanced. You know, as far as being in the world and doing worldly things, all kinds of things. You know, the business side of it is not my favorite part of the work that I do. I would love to have that just be running in a different way, not by me all the time. But what keeps me balanced is literally doing things that are not this. So, you know, being out in nature, getting connected to the earth, watching, you know, TV or movies, I should say Netflix, or movies that are really, you know, out there. What else? My children definitely keep me balanced. I'm so grateful for my children along this journey, even though I'm sure that it's been a challenge for my children, though they picked me. I think that that's been probably a challenge for them because I've been learning how to navigate all of this really by myself. I mean, this is a very big process, and I'd love to meet the people who say it's super easy. I really, actually, really would like to meet those people, because for me, this was not an easy walk. This felt like thousands and thousands and thousands of years, or thousands and thousands and thousands of lifetimes for me to get to equanimity and stability within myself, confidence, trust, faith in myself, in the work that I'm doing and how it is serving and helping other people. And there's been times, for sure, I cannot tell you how many times there's been, where I've been like, oh my God, I just want to stop. Can I just get normal? Can I just like live a 3D normal life and just be done with whatever it is that I am feeling so ultra responsible for here? So, yeah. So a topic of conversation sometimes is how this is meeting people right now, how people are either really receiving this well and being into it or not, maybe. But I think we are absolutely having an awakening in our human history. And so I find that the people that come to me are every walk of life. I mean, really every walk of life. People that are been into spirituality and stuff for so long and have done practically everything, and people who literally have done nothing and who are just going, well, I'm open. I think that how we are going to be creating a new world, and as Osairah says, the evolutionary jump of humanity that's happening, we are being called up to expand our perspective of what is possible. And it's happening in everything, science and every other way. And it's really important for people to be open to what is more. It's like the age of Aquarius, as they say, and age of Aquarius, and we're going to be balancing more. So coming into acceptance of multidimensional realities, multidimensional living. What does that mean in this life? How do I navigate, if I'm having awakenings, or if I go to a channeler and I'm getting great information, how do I digest that to live a better life for myself? I mean, it's just coming through in so many different ways. So, I feel that's really important to be open. Indeed, we say greetings to you, dear one. We are that one known as Osairah, and we are in fact overjoyed to be in this alignment with you. We are recognizing you. We are recognizing this conversation. We are recognizing the way in which it is that our beloved channel is participating in this way with you, in this participation of a wider breadth of an audience. We are recognizing the opportunity, and we say, we thank you, dear one. We are excited, you could say, if we had emotions, for the way in which you are participating with your own experience of advancement, pulling yourself into what you would call a greater future. We are recognizing to say the connection grows very strong, regardless of what you might think at times, to what you might also consider is future aspects of yourself. You are essentially pulling yourself forward. We are here for that. We look forward to this conversation, and we would like to know where you would like to begin.
Thank you very much for coming through. Beautiful to have you here. And firstly, what is your connection with Grace?
Grace, our beloved channel, the conversation is about her. Okay, then, let's go there. In essence, our beloved channel is what you would say how do we find the word? We'll find the word in a moment. We will say connected to the idea of initiate for our and her future lifetimes. So she has walked this road many, many lifetimes. We are in connection with her because her ability to essentially step aside for this wide bandwidth of information that we are to come through and offer all that we do and can to this dimensional frequency of human beings is the greatest thing that we can only imagine. The connection to our beloved channel starts many, many timelines ago, which is simultaneously occurring. So what you could say is she is our partner in many streams of reality, participating with us even now and in this lifetime where you are participating in this moment of heavy focus of this connection, conversation. She is essentially we are going to call it a column of light that accesses potentialities and opens her own frequency to allow that which we are to move through the consciousness using language and sound and frequency to meet our human friends. Energetically, we are in league with her on different dimensional connection, meaning, how do we say that? Different dimensions, because she has, how we say, a certain, we don't want to say it like that because then it sounds as if she's a certain specialty. So what we would say is she has worked very hard throughout many different lifetimes to bring her availability into a body wired for this. Does some of that answer the question?
Yes. So that would get into the work of the multidimensional reality. So so this is so there's a future aspect of her, and there's a past aspect, and all that is one.
And what we would say is there are many, 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 many future and many, 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 many past aspects simultaneously happening as one, even though what appears to be in this heavy focus of reality looks like just this particular one, right?
Right. So then, how much is our multidimensional aspects affecting this present moment?
Mm-hmm. Now there's where you get into some, we can just first say we appreciate that question very much, dear one, because it's not been asked quite the same way. We like that way you asked it. Now, what we will say is the aspects of both what you would say past and future timelines of a soul self, you could say it like that, do affect a particular focus. So how much is not actually quantifiable. It's not always the same for each or every soul. So not every soul is going to be affected the same way as another soul standing next to them. Does that make sense first?
Yes.
So then we would say it is in a stream of a lifetime, an agreement on effectively how much other streams of lifetimes are affecting the one you are speaking about. This is where it gets very tricky, you could say, because it's difficult to language how vast and wide the breadth of multidimensionality is. You cannot really perceive it in the third dimension, how infinite your multidimensional aspects of self are. And so therefore it's not very quantifiable to say, well, the one in 1900 and the one in 900 AD and the one in 2555 is going to be affecting you in this lifetime. You cannot quantify. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we hope we are answering the question, but needless to say, it is that you are affected to the certain degree that you make agreements to be affected. We don't mean affected in a negative way. It means to be aspecting, using, gaining from anything and everything that you would get as a connection from a previous lifetime or a future lifetime in what you are calling a heavy focus of this lifetime is always going to be for the benefit of this being. Does that make sense?
Yes. So basically, our future aspects, if all is happening now, that is kind of being fed back to. Well, our future couldn't. Well, see, this is the thing. When you get out of linear time,
exactly,
is our future really? It probably is affecting our present moment.
Absolutely, because see, you are not in linear time. This is not. You are playing the game like you are. You are pretending that is. Well, you are participating in the idea of the agreement of the program of the linear timeline. That's what you're doing here. That is not the actuality. But you believe it, so you play the game of it. It does not prevent that your future aspects of timelines are affecting you even now. Doesn't prevent it. Can you pop into those with consciousness and use that in a way that serves you more here? That's a probability.
How would you pop in?
So it becomes a way of living. This is something that becomes a way, how should we say that more than study? It's almost similar to the idea of some along the lines of your quantum mechanics, having to do with understanding that if you can release the timeline structure, that's where one of the places you must begin. Most people are snared some way in the mind, thinking because the program is set so deeply within them, they can't free themselves from the timeline structure, right? Does that make sense?
Right.
So when you can, and if you do, even for a few moments, and realize the timelessness, that there is really happening here no time, and that all things are simultaneously occurring, There is a broadening of perspective that you can, and we use this word simplistically sounding, you can pop into. What we mean by pop into is you can expand for a moment, expand into the moment. What we mean by present is to realize all things are simultaneously occurring. Here's the catch, though, where you are as a heavy focused being with, in a sense, we say it all the time, in a sense you are a being who comes into a physical body, says, this is my body, this is my earth, this is my experience, this is my environment, this is my name, this is my achievements, this is who I am as a beingness, as a consciousness, and you believe this is who you are, so you're heavily focused. You have these blinders of being human on, and they hold you to the tenant and all the masks and all the programs and all the variations of the soul self that you want to be and participate, but you carry these blinders on like this. As you begin to awaken and broaden those perspectives of what is potential and what is possible, and even letting go, releasing the timeline structure, releasing linear thought around time, you break free energetically of something that was kept and keeping you with said blinders on. When those begin to fall away, there is a new, how should we say that, level. It is like a, you pierce through, how should we say that? It's like a film. It's not, it's somehow like you all seem to talk about the word veils. There are many veils all around you. It's like a veil to a certain extent, and you open to the widerness of seeing, being, focusability, to expand the consciousness of which now the blinders are not on, and you recognize there's so much more happening here. So much more happening here in this moment. I am not limited. When you pop in, you can jump a little bit more. It becomes a practice. How can we explain this even better? We are looking for better ways for the languaging to articulate how it is that can help. When you touch in on anything that feels out of the stream of your focus concentration of beingness, you how should I say that better? You relax, something lets off. You let go of perceptions of ideas of how it is you think it is supposed to be. And you rise a little. And we use this as a way for you to kind of play with this energy. You pop through to realize infinite allness now. Infinite allness now. Now this is, when we are languaging in this moment, we do not think we would want to pause on this, because we're not necessarily thinking we're giving you the best instruction on how it is with language, how you can pop in. So the question, we would like to return to that again. What was it exactly? How do you pop into a new timeline?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Essentially, you have to free yourself from the belief that you are in this timeline at all, and it holds a linear time code.
Could that be done through meditation?
Indeed. That can be done through meditation. There are other ways of getting outside of yourself. Do you understand?
Yes.
There's certain ways. Now, getting outside of yourself does not mean that you're constantly looking to get outside of yourself, but there is ways within being within oneself to step into the wider breadth of all that is and all that you are. You begin to realize, and we will point to it, sure, many people don't like it and many people embrace it, but meditation is very much a way for this. It touches into the field of energetic concentration that is all around you, but you just don't take the slowness, the presenceness to see, feel, know. So meditation expands the field, and you slow into the real-time space energetic field, and you touch in on the width of all possibility. And that's just language. That's the best we can say it for this moment.
So you mentioned about the, tapping into our future selves, that we can do that. And I'm guessing one modality of that would be through regression. But surely we can, I think what you said is that we could do this ourselves through meditation.
Mm-hmm. So, and you can, and we want to say this too. How should we say that? So there are beings, people, as well who will be more wired for that, and not so many, and many who will not be so wired for that. Some will have an interest in it, and some will not. Some will have a desire, right, for it. And those of you who have the desire for it can, what you would say, access future timelines, future aspects of yourself, both through meditation, your dream time, yes, essentially to what you call regression states. We also say, to a certain extent, your imagination is one another fast tracks to your own futurizing or connections to future aspects of self. So you are a experience of your third dimensional life as you know it in this lifetime. The access ways that you can expand the field is by amplifying your consciousness. By amplifying your consciousness, you connect to greater aspects of yourself and other consciousness as, which ultimately is really one, which is really source, all things, which you would say the oneness, how many other ways you could say it, God, Goddess, whatever, it doesn't matter. And that is literally the creation itself. That's literally creation itself. That's literally the light source, the spark of existence. That is it. That is what you all are. And so in your expansion experience through, well, we'll start with meditation, you can really, how should I say that, access greater parts of that source self that you are by getting to know who you are. Who does not mean the small self, the egoic body, but that first must be met too. You must gain the widest understanding possible of your own innerness, of your own beingness, of your own soul self, of your own expansion, becoming in touch with the places where you are holding judgments, where you are holding the smallness, where you're holding your fears, where you are holding your lost energetics that hold you down into places of being human. When you transcend these things, this is the inner work, you begin to touch into a wider breadth of the conversation, which is all around you, which is the field, which is what you would call the pure potentiality of the futures you're questioning about. Your many future potentialities are all in existence, simultaneously occurring, and that is difficult for the human mind to think of. So one of the ways we can say it is, it's all possible. What do you tap into? It's like pulling yourself, how should I say that? Another way. It's like if you were wanting to climb over a wall and you see a bunch of sturdy vines that are hanging over the wall. Some are higher than others, some are lower than others. Which vine are you going to choose? You're going to choose one of the vines to get you up and over the wall. It's the same thing with being able to tap into timelines of your own existence. Some of that comes through simple things like your own imagination. You could never be sitting here having this conversation with us, dear one, if you had not futurized to imagine this idea in the first place. Here you are. You future pulled. Does that make sense?
Okay, well, and I'm guessing that, past lives, we could go into the same modality that you just explained there and go in and heal our past lives as well.
Absolutely.
Would that change us energetically as a person if we did?
So it does shift the soul's journey. It does not always change the person. Well, now let us say that again. Yes, we can change the person. Change it. You come to change. Let us say that. All life is about expansion, literally. All energy, all life is about expansion. And so you come to change. You come to have expansion. In this transformation, you could be in a past experience, however it is that you are accessing that, shift or heal energies or come to understand things at a different level in this consciousness, freeing yourself from things that feel or felt like burdens or were even subconscious burdens, old attachments, old ideas, painful traumas, etc., 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 and have that be energetically transformed, which will affect what you are carrying in this one particular focus that you are in. So you could not help but be transformed by way of the transformation that you have pulled in. When we speak to our human friends, and we sit here and we have these kinds of conversations with our human friends, we say, well, we do not talk to you about things that are fanciful stories to get your attention or to be dramatic for dramatic purposes only when we speak about what you would call previous lifetimes. When we tell one about a previous lifetime, we are simply bringing that up because essentially it is being accessed and it is being shown as a particular lifetime. For whatever reason it is showing itself, that it is carrying a connected code or a connected cord or a piece of energy towards the one who is here now in this body. You make an agreement with those cords, connections, previous lifetimes, to carry certain threads. Not the entirety of every single lifetime is affecting you in this lifetime. You carry certain things into this lifetime, essentially to, how should we say that? Transmute it, to heal it, to release it, to learn its greatest lesson from it in this lifetime. So that's why you bring things along with you. When you are moved through it, when you have let it go, healed, moved on, released, cleared, you become changed from it. This is the main objective of your soul emanation.
You talk about past lives, future lives. And you only seem to give information when we are asking for it. I mean, you never seem to push your truth onto us.
For the most part, we would agree with you.
So if I could ask those really deep questions, you would give me those really deep answers.
To a certain extent, yes. Based upon what is accessible to languaging, first of all. It is always a difficult translation. At times we will say, sometimes, dear one. But also what it is to a certain extent, how should we say that better? Not just by way of what you can receive, you personally, but what is it, you must understand, we will say it like this. 10 years ago, we were speaking about the divine feminine rising, the balancing times that were coming, and all that you must go through for that to occur. You are still in that, but you are also seeing the divine feminine rising extraordinarily and will continue. This is a new era. We were speaking about this 10 years ago. We were speaking about it because we were trying to prep you, essentially. There were a few who could really grasp what we were saying, and now it is coming to pass. When we tell you anything, we tell you based upon what it is, the capacity by which you have to take that information in and have it assimilate in a way that will be most useful for you at the time. So if we were to lay out certain things that were essentially, we don't mean that you are being stupid or anyone else is. What we are meaning is that there is a kind of, it's like gradations. It's like levels, it's like grades, it's like certain accessibility to certain kinds of information cannot be given until you pass certain thresholds. We love to go deep, dear one. We don't know that you have heard us go very, very deep. We have many, many recordings or videos or recordings and sessions, etc. that we can blast some people out. They're just literally sitting there with their eyes kind of rolling back in their head, and they are barely getting every third word. That doesn't mean they're not getting it. They're getting it cellularly. They're getting it through the light body. They're getting it through their mental, emotional body at different levels. You are all at different levels. We try, the 12 of us, to speak to more than the one person who's sitting before us. So if we have a group of 50, let's say, or we have just you in this moment, we are going to reach as many with all the languaging we possibly can to reach the one who is sitting in the back who doesn't quite sure why they're here. Do you see what I mean?
Are you aware of the people that are watching this right now? And all their future times in the future when they're going to watch this.
So this is the thing. What you don't understand about time and the way that it works is we participate from how can we say that better? We participate at the fuller level of your focus, at the widest level of the expansion, where timelines are merging, where this moment has already happened and is participating with others in other places. You're just catching up to your own future, dear one.
So when we've just had a discussion there about past lives and future lives, when I cross over and that's just my analogy for going somewhere else except for here, and that even might not be quite right of what this is or what we do when we cross over. What if I was made aware that there are no such things as past or future lives, and actually it was just a reference given to us as breadcrumbs in trying to find our own truth in this whole picture, but it wasn't the truth at all?
And so would you be frustrated, angry, mad? Oh, I was gypped because I got told something that wasn't really true? We think not. You will understand why you were told, what you thought. You will have the wider breadth of understanding.
Yes, and I hate to butt in, but I'm going to do that right now. Of course. Are they true to you?
Which part?
Past, future?
So no, we do not see it like that. We do not see it, but we speak that way, the way that you need to hear it that way. Meaning not just you, human beings, this planet, this timeline.
Even if the past life, for example, when Grace looked at her past lives, those events felt very real, and whatever she got to experience kind of made sense to her at that time of why she feels the way she does.
Absolutely.
Now, if that's not true, because it's been given to us as an illusion to ourselves to make us feel that way, because the answer's not going to be given to us on a plate as such, because we don't want that, is there some truth in what I'm saying there?
Well, it's not that it has been given to you and it's not a truth. We would say it like this: past lives we do not experience to see them the way that you do. We see them as a simultaneous occurring. Even right now, where we are sitting here with our beloved channel, moving through this conversation with you in this space, in this home, in this experience, the past lives of both you and our beloved channel are literally right here, right now, through and as you. But you cannot focus upon that. It's too much.
Have we met before, me and Grace?
Indeed. There are no accidents, dearest one.
Well, what about this timeline? What about if this timeline's happening again as well? What if this moment's happening somewhere else and in some sort of different way?
And indeed, it is possible. The how should we say, the multiplex, it's not even multiplex, it's beyond multi, it's beyond multidimensional. This moment is ever expanding, always participating, and new offshoots are always being created. You just keep participating in what you think is this particular, we will call it quote unquote one. There are so many, dear one.
What does it matter to know any of that stuff?
There you go. So it doesn't, because it does not serve this one. Does it help you? Does it give you inquiry? Does it give you Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Fun, great, wonderful questions, imagination, yes, wonderful parts of the ride that you're here upon doing. You are here upon this walk and experience, focused as you are, as the one, because you like the mystery, because you are the expression of the infinite creation source itself, having its expression upon itself, in itself, through itself, as itself, mirroring itself. You are participating in all that there is. So it does not matter if you think you stay back here, in this one lifetime.
Well, in my life review, could I get to live this moment again and get to experience it just as this?
You can, because it is itself. It is unto itself.
Then how would I know that I'm not in some sort of life review?
Aha, we like the way you're angling that.
How would you know you're not where I am?
So there is, how shall we say this?
Again, what does it matter?
Well, we like it because there's not a lot of people who go to this kind of depth with us on a regular basis. So we like this very much, dear one. So what we would say to you is, it may not matter, and if it does matter, the fun in knowing is this. If you were to wake up, even now, and say, whoa, I was just having a life review. I'm not even there. You see what we're saying? This is like a hologram looking back at it.
Yes.
If you are looking back at the hologram and now you recognize, whoa, I thought I was alive over here, meaning this now moment, and here I am over here. Well, that is, that's difficult. Let me see. That is always occurring. You continue to have awakening, 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 awakening moments. And then you return back to the sliver of the idea that I am this one. This is what is happening here, is the idea that this is the sliver of the life that I am choosing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Until the moment when you say, well, I really am done. I really am ready to let this body go, and I'm ready for the next adventure. When that occurs, you recognize, you literally lift off the physical body, you expand into the allness that there is, you recognize everything that is, and it is so much, dear one, we can never find language that can show you or illustrate or speak to the infinite potentialities of existence. It's not languageable.
But then I might go to another channeler and they may say, that's not our truth as the entity that comes through. We don't feel that we're in a life review. If that's your truth, go with it. If it serves you, and if it doesn't, get the hell out of your way.
But we're not saying we think we or our beloved channel believes she's in a life review.
No.
You asked the question for you. And so we said, if you're curious, if you're having a life review, you can step into another infinite potentiality of you and ask the question.
Well, why don't I feel drawn to want to ask that? Because I'm thinking in this moment, I don't really care. But then again, at the same time,
you ponder this
I ponder
quite a bit.
Because it's almost like I feel sometimes like I've done this before.
Here it is. Because everything you have orchestrated, essentially, to a certain degree, is you watching you. Yes, you've orchestrated it. You've done it all before. You're participating in the fishbowl of the experience of yourself, as yourself.
How have I orchestrated it?
You are the infinite intelligence. You are literally God creation. You are the infinite eternal lightness of being. You are love. You are breath of life. You are light. You are information. You are light, and light is information. You are all that exists. You are the creation.
But then I am equal to you, though.
Always. We are never, ever, ever are we saying we are better than anyone.
But then have you gone through what I've gone through? Have you lived this type of life?
Not all of us. Some of us have participated in what you would understand to be incarnating in the physical world of the human body, and some of us have not. So remember, we are just 12 in particular this day coming forward. There are many of us who participate as Osairah, which you would say the house of Osairah.
The images I've got in my head right now are just mind-boggling. I've got offshoots going around, other realities going bouncing off that. It's just everything's connected, and that's just one aspect of everything, and it's huge.
It's a lot to see. You must understand, dear one. You can blow your own mind.
Oh, we've done that already.
We know. So, but we're saying, we're reminding you that you can blow your own mind, but what does that help?
Oh, yeah, why? Why do I want to blow my own mind? I guess it's better than blowing my mind up by a gun or something like that to just want to go home. I want to stay here.
Do you?
But you accused me of that a little bit earlier on, not wanting to stay.
Not accuse. We just notice energetically in the background. At times you pop it up again and again because it's not completely cleared. That's all.
Do I want to stay here? There is sometimes, honestly, that I just don't care about being here. Not because of the great answers I've got from this, because what I've got is more complexity and more I just don't know, right?
Yes.
I do know that I do feel more in me that I'm a soul having a human experience on this journey.
Absolutely.
So maybe that's where that little pondering comes from, because there's others that have done this work that have left us early.
Yes.
Because they
were done.
They were done. I'm not done. When I get in the plane and I think, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in a metal container that could just crash. I'm like, I want to live.
Yes. Right. That means, dear one, in this focused reality of the one called you, with your name and your experience and your memories and your family lineage and everything else, you believe that this is the life you're ready for. You are living it. You do not want to go.
Maybe I'm a coward in some respects, because there's some people that I could tell them that I love them, that I doesn't have the balls to say it. I would say I'm a coward in some respects to my own life, and I think I'm saying this just to show other people where they're at as well.
Well, the beautiful thing, dear one, is you're all facing yourselves. So you look at each other and you see yourself. That's true in every capacity. You look at the one who you would call a coward inside of yourself, and you can turn around and look at that happening every day, all around, all time on this planet. You are projections and mirrors of each other. It's beautiful. And it is also difficult. It is a challenge, and it is exactly what you sign up for. You orchestrate it. How do you orchestrate? You said, from the soul self that is the infinite intelligence. Remember that. That is not, when you are participating in this conversation, to a certain extent, some of the conversation is happening from the, how should we say that? The part of you that is curious and also small.
Well, if I'm not having a life review, which it may not be, it just goes to show how in-depth even the life review is. I mean, we've got these wonderful authors that have brought these books out that talk about the stages we go to, yet even those stages have not been explained properly. There's so much more work to be dug out from even those stages of what the... You could write a whole book on the life review, couldn't you?
Indeed.
That's my point, where it's like we've brought out a microcosmicness of what we think the process is, and I think it's shown me that there's so much more to the work.
That's for sure. Those microcosms, those ideas that others have brought out, some of them are what you could call, how we say sometimes, is the energies flying through the bandwidth, and they are plucking those things out and they are putting them down. That's just a little minuscule piece of the big picture. We are recognizing some of the confusion around the idea of, well, we wanted to speak to you, your question, the idea that you have around what this is for you, where you feel the life review is sticking you. Can you talk to us about that?
Of course, of course. And I don't want to keep this into the documentary about, I just, why is it sticking me? I would say probably the idea that, wow, is it sticking? I guess it is, because if this was a life review and I was having one, are you popping through? Did you pop through in my life where the life review wasn't there? Is there channeling? There must be channeling beyond the life review.
So what you're saying, we are going to try to get clear with you on this for practicality purposes in this particular configuration with our beloved channel in the third dimensional field of consciousness that is happening in what you are considering having an interview or a good conversation with us. You are perceiving the idea that you believe that this could be a life review you're doing because you are not actually living this life?
Yeah, I am living this life, and I wouldn't know the difference if it was a life review or not.
Right.
And nor would it even matter.
Correct. But where's the sticky part?
I don't know, is the answer. I don't think it's there. I think it's just my mind just getting in the way, I think.
There it is. And so we want to help this piece with you, because you tend to, this is where the jumbleness comes. We don't mean this in a negative way. We're not dissing you. We are not putting you down in any capacity. But this is where you get in your own way. Do you understand? To relinquish that part, just soften it maybe. That gets a little tenacious with, how should we say, breaking something down. Do you understand?
I do.
If you can soften yourself around that, what happens is you begin to embody the thing you are trying to learn. This is what you want to do in a body, in a physical incarnation. You do not want to mental construct it to death. Do you see?
Yeah, I guess I thought that people watching this would want some sort of logic to it, but...
So it's not to say that there isn't, well, that is a good, it's not to say there isn't logic. But we want to help our human friends become the embodiment of that which their soul has asked them here for, which truly is to wake up and expand inside, interiorly within the soul, while being in a physical body.
Now that's a good point. Right, now let's go from that thread. That's a good thread to start from. Right, we'll just maybe cut the rest out. Right, let's start from that thread, because if that's the case, then we're saying that there is potentially much more information to come through from that which has already come in to this reality from books and stuff like that. So there's more about the life review, there's more about past lives, there's more about the interlife, there's more about any subject. On any subject in spirituality that's come through, there's much more to add to it. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and as you say, it's an internal wake up, it's an internal, and bringing this type of information out, it gets a bit mental, but it's also a way to help people awaken to the more. Okay?
And so the mental is the first access point.
Right. So, why are we trying to we're trying to wake up to come up to a level that you're at, that we were once at?
No, we don't even want to go there with you on that. We're saying you each come with an individual participation of the soul self that you are inhabiting in participation in an incarnation. At this focus, you are heavily focused. This is who I am. You are heavily focused. This is who I am in this third dimension, this timeline, this year, this family, right? And in that focus, the soul comes forth to take on the embodiment of incarnating in order to, and this is the key at this time, humanity is evolutionarily, consciously awakening. It's a cycle. It happens all cycles. There are many. You could say they're every 2,000 years. You could say they're every 10,000 years. This one in particular is more like a 2,000-year wake-up call, essentially. And you are in a particular time where there is a massive expansion. Those souls who have physically incarnated at this time on a planet at this way, meaning your heavy focus is happening here. You've come to be a participation in the mystery, in the unfolding of the ups, of the downs, of the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, of everything you go through in an incarnating body, in form, playing at every level you do in the 3D reality you name. And as you do that, you come so that the soul can participate in some form of waking itself up while staying in a body. What do we mean by that? We mean by staying in a body, not having the wake up spirits happen just as you are leaving the body, called death.
Right, and that's a great, a great explanation of why we're here. We're here to wake up while we're incarnated. Now, what happens to those who never wake up while incarnated?
Most of the time, and this has happened to you, we would say thousands and thousands of times too, for lifetimes previous, and what you would call the timeline of linear thinking of past lives, is just as it happened to you, as it will happen to many still, and who are on the cycles of their own expansion. They will often live the life that they have chosen on many levels. We don't mean that is to say that it's completely aspected to 1,000,000,000% ordained, preordained, but we say you choose so much of this experience for all that you gain. And then for those who you would say don't wake up in a lifetime into, you call it at times enlightenment. We don't prefer that word, but we'll use it. And we would say when you come to that stage and you don't enlighten yourself and you keep on carrying on and you are of service and you woke up and you're in having a different reality while being in the same body, well, you would come to the end of your life experience and you would partially awaken as you are having the death experience. That's what people do. They wake up to more.
What is the point of why does the soul want to have the wake-up experience even at the point of death, or most importantly within this life? Why?
That is ultimately what you call, we also say, the remembering. This is to remember who you really are. That there was never, this body is not the truth of you. Why do you come to play this game? Yes. Someone said to us recently, with a big, big sigh of the heart, said, why do we have to suffer so much to grow, to live, to learn? And we say, and we know that this is a very, very challenging answer for some people. You come because you want to experience everything.
But from where we come from, we would just know everything.
That's right. But it's not even a knowing. We can only say to you in your language, it's beyond knowing. It's an allness of isness.
which is not the same as physically feeling it.
It is not the same as the experiencer experiencing.
Now, I had a really amazing experience where I got to see what's called the spark. I called the spark and the canvas of the void, where something was and now isn't, but's gone into the spark. Are we trying to wake something up on a bigger scale at some evolutionary point in all this?
We would say yes. And we would say yes, and it is waking up in you, and you are waking up in it. It is the one. You could call that the great, great central sun. You could call that the black hole they've just discovered, seemingly. Ha. You could call that Earth. You could call that the billions of people on your planet. You could call that this lifetime or your 50,000 other lifetimes, if you will. It does not matter. It's all the oneness waking. It's all self up. That's such simplistic wording, but it really is. How can we quantify? The best way also we say it is if you can literally sit inside yourself for a moment. This is one of the aspects of our beloved channel, the way that she can sit in this experience where there is 12 energies connecting to her, and there is just one voice coming through of the 12 of the telepathic energetics that are moving through to create sound that moves this into the frequency, so it lays out vibration so that you not only hear something and your mind begins to make sense of it, but into lay an energetic field of vibration raising that affects you all more than the words, first of all. So if you can imagine being a being who could sit back and sit here, this is why meditation is so important, and become an expansion of awareness that realizes there is not one thing out of order. There is not one person or experience happening or occurring that is misaligned. That everything, even in your judgment as human beings, no matter what you think with the mental bodies and your judgments of what is right and wrong, no matter what you perceive, all is divine. Everything. When you can sit inside yourself and authentically expand your beingness into that kind of a breadth and width of consciousness, you cannot help but know everything is happening. Everything is happening, and everything is divinely orchestrating perfectly. There is no thing wrong here. When you have that, you soften. You play the game. You have the wisdom, and you have no need to tell anyone you have the wisdom. You just play the game. This, in part, is the growing embodiment of this beloved channel and many, 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 many others on this planet. And that will set a frequency for many, 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 many others. And what that does is that connects the vibration, that connects the light, that connects the consciousness, that connects the evolutionary advancement of the planet, that connects the evolutionary expansion of humanity's consciousness that creates a new world. But that's not just for the new world's sake. It's for the expansion's sake.
And I wonder what the outcome of when everything and all the multi-dimensional realities, all the worlds upon worlds of whatever's within this creation, when it all wakes up, what the outcome of that will be, because that which became this becomes something else.
How shall we say that? Even for where we stand, from the vantage point of which it is that we participate in the, you could say, the knowing or the revelation of it all, we say to you, even that much, that idea, that big, is we could say, yes, it will continue to expand. There's nothing but expansion. And when you are...
But it's not known of what it will become, though.
Correct. So it is too difficult to even... How is it? to conceive of that.
But were these conversations happening before in times ago? I mean, it just feels...
So these kinds of, how shall we say that? This is a good place where we say this to you. In this moment, this is what you could consider a future from then, what you would call past, right?
Right.
And this kind of future conversation was pulling the past to here.
Oh, the future pulls the... So
just like the future, you, she, we...
Oh, hang on.
Are the future.
So when there's something in the future is happening that's so big and so important, it kind of then sends a ripple effect to the past to pull it in.
Yes. And that it becomes the person or the people or the time frame or the experiencers in that seemingly past, right? Pulls that into an alignment of simultaneous co-creation to get
So when
when
something right in your life right now feels like you can't work out what's going on while you're being pulled in a direction, it may be a future event pulling it in because it's so...
Absolutely. That's always what it is.
But that's already come out on this documentary through other people. It was given a name.
And?
That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Do you mean this has come out and it's given a name?
Yes, another entity brought this through like this. Never heard of this before until you've just re-explained it again, and it was given a name.
We would call it future pulling. That's how we see it.
Great name for it.
Mm-hmm. And we say it because our beloved channel realized one day that as she saw lines of her own connection, and she became a future puller. She's pulling her future.
So what I'm doing now is realigning. So something I'm doing now that so wants to happen right now, right, whatever that may be, as an example, I could be pulling parts of my past into realignment to pull that in even further. So my past is pulling my future in even further because my past is realigning to make this present moment happen even quicker.
Because there is no time.
Isn't that amazing?
Exactly. We absolutely love this conversation with you, dear one, because you not only keep track, you keep up, but then you inquiry more, you dig a little deeper. This is expanding the conversation greatly. So we are absolutely happy to be having conversations with you, dear one. You are excellent at this expansion.
Why?
Very helpful.
Why is this my job?
Because you do indeed break things down differently, the mental body within you.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know why I want to know so much. I always feel like I just want to know everything. But not science. I want to know this. This leads into science.
What we would say to you, dear one, is in particular, whether or not this makes it into your documentary or not, we would say specifically for you, dear one, is because your future, you, in your future, is pulling you to greater and greater heights.
My future's pulling me to do this. Duh, of course.
Of course. We love it. Duh.
Yeah, well, God, I keep getting these little visions sometimes of being on the stage, talking to loads of people about the nature of reality and stuff and what I've learned and what
How many years of age are you, dear one?
25? No, I'm joking, 39.
39. So in your experience, you have just begun to wake yourself up and pull yourself to your future. That's what you're doing. That's what you're all doing.
You mean we get to a certain age when our future starts to pull us in more?
Mm-hmm.
Not so much when we're younger?
No, it was always there. It's all there. It's like what we said before. It's not necessarily where it's preordained, but you absolutely lay the path out before you.
But then what about these people, and myself included, this is to help everyone here, that feel that they've got multi-purposes? What, is there multi-strands of future pulling us in? Of course.
There's nothing wrong with having your multi-dimensional beings. Do not just be stuck on one idea. That would be pretty boring now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but some of the things I want to do are kind of 360 to this.
So?
Yeah, it all connects, doesn't it? It all connects.
It's all just one play, isn't it? It's all just one play, meaning you're getting to play in anything and everything you want to. Why limit yourself in the first place?
You know, it's funny, we try to do all this work and sometimes we can only do one thing at a time. Yet
yes.
These people on YouTube show us that we've got to, you know, have all this passion and they're doing all this stuff and it's like, you just can't emulate anyone. You've just got to be you.
Because if you just do be you, as they say, you do you, you become that which you have come here to be. But if you're pretending and trying to keep up with someone else and emulate and do something someone else is doing, you're not creation itself, are you? You are a copy. Creation itself is what you've come to be.
But there has to be a level when I get off the wheel of wanting to see myself on the earth wheel and have this experience, and then obviously we're going somewhere else then. But I almost want to say that I'm going to where you are, because we're joining the level that you're remembering that you're at right now, because that then is pushing us all forward to reignite this potential of where we're going.
Indeed. And you are. And you are.
Well, why did you stay over where you are, and we've come on to this? I know we keep saying because to re-remember. Well, some were left behind.
Essentially, that is a right way to say it. But some of you it's not left behind. There's many who come back for those who are left behind. That's one way to say it. But we like this idea more. Is true as this. That you, how should we say it without sounding hierarchical? We don't like this hierarchy, because then it becomes an idea that it's better or worse in a certain place. It's not. It's a choice. Choosing. Choosing is you are a human chooser. You are not just a human being. That's, in fact, how should we say? We've been talking about this often, that you are less than a human being. You are more a human chooser, because as you choose, you be. You choose first before you be. And so as you choose, you create that which is your expansion. When you choose to come again, you are choosing the things that gain your soul more and more. And so there are times where some of us have chosen and chosen and chosen and chosen, and finally we do what you would say, step off the wheel. Now, do we call it that? Do we say it like that? No. Do we think of ourselves as having gone up to a higher echelon and we are in the hierarchical order and here we are above you? No, we don't even think that. We see this all as choice.
It's almost where you're at. It's the elimination of science, and it's the elimination of that which we understand to be the laws of reality.
That is right. But we can't argue yet with you on that one. We don't like to. It doesn't matter. At this point, you're still working it out for yourselves.
Be here now. Of course.
And you are still working it out for yourselves that science is not your end-all be-all. You are going to have to come to understand that this is just the crack in the door. You've just, as a human collective consciousness, just cracked open the door that your intuition or your guidance within, or that the higher self within you, or that the deep inner wisdom piece of the soul self that you are is the one guiding the ship.
Okay, I've got a few more questions here, right? Why you don't seem to be really, none of you seem to be working with each other. Like, when I've been on this quest now for my Earth days, 30 or 60 days or more, right? Meeting many entities like you, right? All with different flavors, yet in this soup of this reality where this is being poured in from. But you're not always aware of other aspects of you doing this work, are you?
We're aware of many others who are doing the work, but we're not necessarily, how should we say, having coffee with them.
Not having coffee with Seth, no?
Not necessarily, no.
I like the way you put that, yeah. Not having coffee. Why not?
It's sort of like you can't meet up with all beings, correct? You can't. You cannot meet up, but you meet up with many, and the many who are right for you on the path, right?
Of course.
So that is essentially the kind of energetics that happen here even.
Because where you're at, you're still on your path.
Well, we are still in the expansion experience. And what our expansion experience participation of is to participate with you. It is our, you could say, expanded mission.
Do you channel to other entities higher than you?
What does this mean? Let us see what
Well,
this means.
I don't mean to say higher than you. I mean, do you we channel? We're channeling to you, or you're channeling to us.
We're participating.
Do you participate in this way? Not like this, but if you could say channeled ways to other levels above you.
So we interact, you could say. That's a good way to say it. Interact.
Are we interacting here?
We are interacting here.
Why do we use the human word channeling then?
Because we come through a teleportation through the physical body with the languaging through the body of the beloved channel, because you do not, as a whole, for the most part, people do not have your sensory senses hooked up as the way to be able to see us if we're standing in the room, nor hear us if we're talking to you. And we say to you, so this is the best access point that we can offer for the evolutionary advancement with our human friends at this time. This also is a particular time for channeling this way, so that this kind of information material, consciousness raising, spiritual awakening, all of it, information can reach many.
Right, so the time's now for this information to come through. Whenever this is going to be released, and what you're talking about as well is the channeling phenomena as we see it.
Exactly. And this was essentially, we'll say, many were speaking of it, including us. When we first came to be through our beloved channel, we said it as well, and many said it a few before us, that this would be the time of the channelers.
And anyone, no matter what the past, can channel.
Not anyone necessarily. There are some who are highly wired for it. There are some who will essentially be connecting to higher aspects of their own self.
Well, I channel something called the One, but that's what I wanted to call it, I think. But then again, I don't know so much now. Is it my father calls it, he says that, Kevin, you're channeling your higher self. But I'm like, now on this path, I don't think I am.
And why on this path now do you not think you are?
Because I think I remembered to myself that this is truth. This is truth.
So here is an excellent, and you probably have heard this one, and we will say it to you because it is helpful. Truths with a capital T can stand the test of time. Period. Time, meaning in 1 billion years from now, in 1,000 years from now, and tomorrow, it will still be true.
But what if it's surface level truth compared to the future truths that are brought out?
But what does that mean, surface level
As
truth?
in, it's always true, but then there was always more to that truth. Like you dig deep, you were given something like the past life. That's true, but then you dig deeper, like I've been in this interview, and actually none of it may be true. There's a new truth there that actually it may be some other part coming out.
But that doesn't negate the truths that took you to get there.
No.
Right?
Right.
Doesn't negate. So truth is truth, yes. Does it affect an individual differently at different times? Yes, depending upon the focus in that time.
But can you build a new truth on it then? Once you've got one truth and you say, right, past lives are real, then I'm saying to you as an example, and I want other people to hear this as well, that, well, let's look at that past life. Yes, it felt very real and everything else, but was that actually real? Was that given to me as a way for me to follow breadcrumbs to get to my next idea? So
you're saying, we're wanting to make sure of what you're saying. You're saying that lifetime then wasn't a real past life?
Yes, I am.
So then you're saying that, how did you find that out though?
Because through speaking to someone like yourself, that actually what we think is true, that yes, it felt truth, but it doesn't mean that actually it wasn't some illusion set up for us, so that we would then look beyond the illusion to see what the truth is behind that.
But this is the beautiful thing. Even that would equal truth as long as it gets you there.
That's true. Now that is true.
So it doesn't matter if it was illusionary past life or if it was a real past life. It does not matter. We would say everything is what it is. If it was a past life and it felt like a past life and it seemed like a past life and now you're saying it's an illusory past life, we would say it's a past life, doesn't matter, got you there.
Yes, so it's like any good book, when you pick it up for the first time, it makes a massive difference on your soul. It doesn't mean if you read it for the second time that it will do. It would mean the same, but is it taking you to where you need to be next? Because you might be hungrier then for the next level of information.
True. Very true. Which is what we say then, why we don't try to talk in hierarchy.
Yes.
But we do say there are levels and expansions. There are places where you expand. And it is like, how should we say, it is like the butterfly that melts down, or the caterpillar that melts down. You cannot have the old foundation if you want to have a new home. You will want it bigger. You will want to adjust. It might have some cracks. You need to change, right?
Well, and then let me ask you this then. Yes, you do. When we've talked about what we've talked about today, in the sense where we were able to connect to our future selves, past selves, wouldn't it be great to be able to really bring some information through from them that would really, you imagine how much healing information is available there if we wanted to go there?
So, this is completely possible, happens all the time, dearest one. Various different ways that it happens. People experience that through past life regressions, as you've been talking about. People experience that through plant medicines. People experience that in conversations simply with us. People experience that through their dreams. People experience that through meditation. People experience that through accidents and traumas and near-death experiences and heartbreaks. They wake themselves up. You get the plethora of opportunity from, as we said before, the highest high and the most blissful opportunity and the lowest low and the most heartbreaking, horrible experience. You get everything and all things in between to wake yourself up. The same thing goes for the part of you that can reclaim something from a past life and heal this now moment to bring you towards the future that is pulling you onward. This is happening every day, all the time.
And I've met those on this journey, human beings working with groups that just are not even into thinking. They don't even think. They've eliminated forms of thinking, and they're just in this present moment, and that's all they want.
And so, and so we see to say that we hear slight bits of question mark around that for you, or judgment. And what we can tell you is every individual soul, and here is a great teaching. This is one that we would say would pass the test of time. You, dearest one, though you know this thought we are about to say, and you say you could say it to yourself many times, it takes deep work with this consideration we are about to present to you. You can never, ever, 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 ever know, truly know, or really know, or ever really know what another soul comes into a body for in a particular incarnation. You can never know why one does this or that, why it looks like a person is doing this. This person is not thinking for themselves. They've lost themselves. They're just happy to be in the moment, as you say. Well, you have absolutely zero idea of why that soul is choosing that set, that participation, that lifetime, that system, that way. You have no idea what that soul is gaining. It could be a healing from a previous lifetime. It could be something that is working inwardly that you have and will never have an idea about. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
So when you see a person who is sitting on the side of the street and who is in the gutter, maybe using drugs, alcohol, cannot get himself out of there, do not ever have pity. Help if you feel the inclination to help, but do not ever have pity or judgment. The same for someone who you think has it all. Because you can never, for both of those two, or the one who has abdicated their own personal responsibility and seems to follow a guru and has no thought of their own and has lost themselves, per your judgment with the one in the gutter, or the one on the hilltop who seems to have it all. You have zero idea at all and never will know what it is the soul is gaining in a lifetime.
Do they know?
Sometimes and sometimes not.
Would you know if they came to you?
Very often we can give, we never take away. We can never give the big surprise, the big package. We don't drop the big mystery bomb on someone and say, here's your big answer. We cannot do that. Because why? Not just what you call human free will. Because you come for the mystery. But most of all, you come to choose.
So the only supporting thing you can do is just to be more of yourself.
We are, and we do, and we point. We give pointers. We like this idea of the guidance through dropping the golden nuggets. And yes, we can affirm. We can say, but your soul is getting so much growth. And we will language it to the person. And we do this all the time. We cannot tell you. It is not seen on your internet. It is not recorded daily by our beloved channel. The hundreds of lives who have been changed by the conversations alone of the reflection to the soul. That is who we are speaking to. Right now we are in a slightly different mode. The mode is give and disseminate as much information as possible. Do you see what I mean?
I love that. Conversations or reflections of the soul. That's great.
Mm-hmm. So we are doing the conversations that are the reflections of the soul each and every time we sit down and our beloved friend sits before us, be it a new person or someone who's come to us for many years, whether or not they are in a group or they are just singular here in the conversation. And we are having a conversation with the soul. And most of those people sit back and literally...
And that's very different to one that's a medium working with their guides, where there's validation coming through.
There's plenty of validation that we give, that we offer. We can reflect and connect to the ideas of that are what you would call proofing, saying, oh, well, okay, you were in this lifetime and your ex-husband was like this and did this and participated with you as this person in that way and did this, and now you see the connection is playing itself out here and you've grown and there's so much lessons and there's so much here and there's so much healing. And for that, so many of our human friends, if we're just talking about something simple like that, so many of our human friends have woken up from a stuck place that they were in those painful relationship dynamics when they have seen a broader, wider picture.
Beautiful.
And we say to you, that's just the tiny opening. That's where we just turn up the flame a little more and the room becomes a little brighter and they say, whoa, I just got all that. Wow, now I can look at my ex-husband or my mother or my brother and I can see this differently and I can change and I can grow. And that leads to the path of the grandeur and the grandeur and the grandeur, grander and grander and grander awakenings. That's how it goes. So we start where you are.
So there must be multiverses out there that are so grand in their complexity and their differenceness to this, that really all ideas that you can think of can exist and do exist.
Absolutely.
God. So this one's pretty simple in some respects.
Very much. And that's simple in its most beautiful, tragic, grand, magnificent, difficult ways.
Would we be aware if it was complicated? Would we be aware if there was more complication to this than what is present in this moment?
You are aware of so much of the complications. Right. You are all waking up to a little bit more. See, does it mean then, though, that you would be able to handle it?
No.
You can barely handle what you can see and deal with in this time as you all are now. How many of you are not able to handle it at all? There is filters needed here. You filter so much out. This is the thing. You say to us, but how can we not see these things or these beings or whatever and these experiences? And the thing is that's all happening. Multi-dimensional existence is happening all around you, even right now.
Well, then I could ask you then, why do you have this agreement to come through this way?
Because this is the way that can serve the many.
But some people say, well, this is the fringe of spirituality to come through this way, and spirituality is on the fringe.
This is why, because this is the beginning. This is we would say it is like our beloved channel, and the many who are like this and being, quote, on the fringe are the forerunners. These are the ones who would have taken up the pioneered wagons and gone from your east coast here on this continent to the west coast and braved the wilderness and all that came through it.
Right, okay, that's interesting, that analogy, because then my truth is on this document. I'll just put it here, what I think this is. I think this comes through like this because it allows us to have, it's not forced upon us, and it comes through in this way where we have to really think, well, is this my truth when it comes through such on the fringe? Is this true for me?
And for others, dear one, it's a natural occurrence. It's literally like, I feel a 1,000,000,000% resonance with this, with you.
I'm
with
okay
this.
with, yeah, but I've channeled a whole, well, I brought through a book, right? I'm okay with it. I believe I'm okay with it, right? I guess I'm taking this venture for me and on behalf of all the people that this is going to reach. I don't know no more than that, really.
That's all you can do. And more than that, it's just to do it if it feels right to do. Same with the people who come to see us. Maybe they hear of us, maybe they find us in various different ways, and maybe they have a conversation with us here in this room or on the internet, and some of them will come and say, I have no idea why I'm here. And then they see and have the experience with us, and in the aftermath of that they say, I know exactly why I came. Thank you so much. This has been the biggest opening, or now I understand, or wow, that was a whole lot to take in. I'm going to take some time to process. But the overall is that we meet people where they are, and being on the fringe sets the little lights all over. We can see it from a different vantage point than you can. We see it in a different way than our beloved channel does. We try to lay it in at the conversation of how she does, and she sees it a little differently than what we will tell you right now. Literally, if you can imagine the thousands of people that she has seen over the 10 years, right?
Yes.
Same with you and the others who do this work.
Yes.
And how it is that their light and their beingness changes, and how they step forth and then connect to the thousands of people in their lifetime that they will connect to, just if they came this one time or woke up themselves a little bit more each and every time. That creates the light quotient that is amplifying on your planet. We come through this physical body this way to be in agreement with our beloved channel, to be what you looks like the package of this way. It is a good package and a sturdy package, we will say, and she worked really hard to bring this through for many, 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 many lifetimes. And so this is an opportunity to expand the field of consciousness, especially on the fringe, because it will begin to change and become so much more standard than norm. Dear one, we will say to you, within the next 5 to 7 years, this experience will be so commonplace. It will be like what you call the psychics.
Have we met before?
We, meaning you, us, we, Osairah?
Yes.
Of course, dear one.
Where do we meet?
Well, first of all, we've had a conversation with you. Yes?
Yeah, sure.
And then we also would say to you that it is never an accident. Sometimes our human friends have a hard time with this idea. It is never an accident who you participate with in a lifetime. You don't meet people by chance. Even if you have an encounter with someone for all of 2 minutes, or it happens to be your bus driver that day, or it happens to be that you meet someone and you're friends with them for 6 months, but never more. It is never an accident who you meet. So we are that collective known as Osairah. We say to you, you and we have orchestrated this divine appointment, literally, physically, in this world at this time, for these next, what you would call, expansion pieces to go out into the world and help to wake those up who are ready.
But then that would have meant that I've met all the other collective groups as well.
Of course.
Well, I must have been busy at some point somewhere.
You are busy all the time, everywhere. You are infinite creation, dear one. You are the multiplex. You are the multi-dimensional universe. You are a life expanding, life upon life upon life upon life upon life, multi-dimensionally existing. It is like what you call the parallel, some people call parallel lifetimes. You are all participating. You are participating in what you call the past lives, the future lives, the now lives, the infinite lives of creation. Calling yourself I, you are the allness of the we. We are you, you are us. This is the oneness. You're just playing a game as if you're separate. We are all just playing a game here.
Here's a crazy question, right? Just quickly, right? Because I know we're running out of time now. I don't know no more than what exists than what I can see with my eyes right now. And to the farthest reaches what I can see with my eyes, with that sky outside, I don't know anything more what's at that door. I don't know anything beyond this room.
We don't agree with you, and we know this is not true.
But I could go out there and it's there. But right now I don't know it's there.
Correct. It's the same as what is happening inside of you. That's a metaphor for what you just described. You just described what is happening inside of you. What is happening inside of you is the infinite potentiality of life happening upon life upon itself. For you to believe that there is more outside of you is the game. What you are doing when you say that to us about going outside and that's all you can see and know, we know that that isn't it. And that right there would be playing the game on yourself. Because deep down within you, in the recesses, behind the recesses, in the underneath, beyond, and down, and in, and up, and around, and all inside, at the heart and soul of the matter of you. And those are three good words, heart and soul and matter of you. You know, it is always there. This voice, this connection, the truth.
I know it's there, but I'm almost saying that I'm having to trust it's there, but I have no proof it's there.
That is, again, as we often say, big laugh, big Billy laugh, we would say. That is the mental mind trying to flagellate and tell you something that just keeps you busy and distracted. That's not the truth with the capital T. And you know it. That's just a distraction.
But if this is a holographic universe, I'm kind of making it up as I go along in some respects.
Absolutely you are, but underneath it all, underneath it all, underneath it all, underneath all of the holograms and all of the creations and all the creations and all the holograms, underneath it all, the truth is still the truth. You are an eternalness of being.
I can't even see what's behind the back of my head.
Oh, yes, you can. It just takes practice. Because there it is. You're playing again with yourself. You're pretending you don't know. To be in inquiry is fair, it's fun, it's fine. But to go back to the knowing of that which you really know, that's more worth all the energy. So you can play the game and pretend you don't know. Can't see behind my head. I don't know that the sky even exists out there. Wait, they say there's China. China what? China who? China how? Just a game you play, you see? You, the infinite I am presence of the intelligence of the life force of consciousness that is the creation itself. You are the breath of life. The breath of life is the literal creation of all that there is, meaning life happening upon life itself. That's what you are. Aspected in this moment to believe you are one separate being called the name, called the life, called the expression, called the doubts, called the fear, called the inquiry, called the ways that you say that you play the game on yourself. We say, good job. When you're ready, come back in. You're waiting for you.
Well, this has been very interesting, hasn't it?
We have enjoyed it very much. We feel that the questions and the conversation has been excellent at a new caliber of conversation. We want to have bigger and broader conversations like this to reach those who could hear this way.
Okay.
You have to understand, we speak at levels so we can reach many. They're not always the same conversations. There are more than 12 of us, remember. So we all come at different times for different reasons.
Oh, I see, right, yeah, of course. Yeah,
so this conversation is very per you as an interviewer or a conversation or a human being or the many parts of you that is the future polar. So we say to you, we love it, dearest one. We truly love it and cannot say to you enough, thank you for your willingness to step up to your own greatness as you continue feeling like you don't know what you're doing. Really, dearest one, you are following perfectly along the guidance that you have left for yourself.
Well, thank you very, very much for reminding me of the guidance I left myself. If that's one message I got from this whole thing, that's perfect.
And we are here with you on that journey. Absolutely. You may always reach to us. We are here for you and with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely, dearest one. It has been our pleasure. We would love to touch in on many other of those topics. We would love to go deeper. We'd love to go do it again. We look forward to more anytime. Call us up. We're ready. Here we go. We thank you. We appreciate you. We look forward to more. We bid you most loving and magical and happy adieu.
Thank you. Adieu.